That includes you too, Montessori. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Luke. And for those of you who do know me, well, still Luke. By a show of hands, how many of you in attendance have experienced some kind of failure in your life? Everyone. What you may not appreciate is that you're all better for it. Because you have failed, you have been given an awesome opportunity for growth. We can all learn valuable lessons from our mistakes. We can grow from them and learn to face adversity head on. You see, failure is a segue to success. Failure breeds success. Failure can be seen in many different forms. You may have failed an exam, a tryout, your driver's test, a task at work, a relationship, a recipe, or a game of Fortnite. However, whoever's played with me would realize that I don't know too much about that. But in order to grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, we must face failure and adversity and not dwell on the negative, short-term impact of it. It's important to keep things in perspective and use failure as a tool to improve. Failure is progress, as long as self-reflection and change are part of the equation. There's a saying that goes, "You are not what you have done, you are what you've overcome." The idea that you emerge stronger and wiser as a result of failure may seem unrealistic initially. But if you learn from your mistakes and embrace it, it builds character, strengthens you, and teaches you resilience. Only through perseverance and overcoming adversity are you able to reach your full potential. I'm sure that most of you are aware of who J.K. Rowling is. She is the mastermind behind the Harry Potter series. What you may not be aware of is how she used failure as a foundation for her personal and global success. In 1994, J.K. Rowling filed a restraining order against her husband, filed for divorce, and fell into deep depression. Her marriage had failed, and she was jobless and living off welfare. To combat depression, fear, and poverty, Rowling began writing a novel. In 1995, she finished her manuscript for the book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and submitted it to several book agents. In fact, the book was submitted to 12 publishing houses. All 12 rejected the manuscript. But these failures didn't stop Rowling from chasing her dreams. Rowling submitted her novel for the 13th time to Bloomsbury, a publishing house in London. This time, her novel was accepted and published. Within a 5-year period, Rowling's novel broke book sale records in the US and UK, won the British Book Award for Children's Book of the Year, and sold 7-figure sum film rights to Warner Brothers. Over a decade later, the Harry Potter franchise became the best-selling book series of all time, with over 500 million copies sold worldwide, and Rowling becoming the world's first billionaire author. In her 2008 Harvard commencement on the fringe benefits of failure and the importance of imagination, Rowling explains that failure was stripping away the essential. I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. Failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way. I discovered that I had a strong will and more discipline than I suspected. My turning point with failure dates back to grade 6. It was the final Team Ontario lacrosse trial, and I was waiting outside the locker room to go in and speak with the coaches to find out that I made the team. However, when I walked into that locker room, I heard everything but that. The head coach told me we were exceptionally talented and have an excellent sense of the game, but I didn't see the heart. You didn't show me how bad you wanted it. When I walked out of that locker room, I couldn't help but think, I have tons of heart. I love this game more than anything. Getting cut from Team Ontario stung, and now I had to go home to my parents and tell them about how I got cut from the same team my older brother Josh made 2 years earlier, when he was my age. I was upset, beyond upset to be honest, but that's when I learned a life lesson that has stuck with me to date. I used that to motivate me to give 100% effort no matter what I am doing. That coach had no idea how relevant and impactful those words would be, benefiting me moving forward. Kevin Durant said it perfectly. Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. You can be the most talented person on the floor, but if you don't work hard, you've truly only completed 50% of the puzzle. 2 years later, at the next Team Ontario tryout, I was an entirely different player. I aimed to be the absolute hardest worker on and off the floor. I had the talent, and now I had to prove that I had the work ethic. So 2 years later, I made it to the final tryout again. 8 hours. 8 hours to prove that I deserve a roster spot on Team Ontario. I left everything I had on the floor. I persevered for the entire duration of the tryout. So when I walked in that same dressing room that I got cut in 2 years ago, I would receive a different result than the last time. When I walked in, my coach handed me a piece of paper with characteristics on it. I thought to myself, man, am I really about to get cut again? Coach followed up with a, can you follow these rules? I responded with a confident, yes. Then I'd like to offer you a spot on my team. Same thing I did when I walked out of that locker room. I learned a valuable lesson from the initial Team Ontario trial. Failure had led to this moment. Failure had led to my current success. In that moment, I truly appreciated the value of failure. Now, in grade 10, I decided that I would rally with the boys and join the puck life by playing on the junior D2 hockey team. Hearing that they made 0 cuts the year prior, I felt pretty good about my chances going into trials. Classic Luke, I decided I'd tell people that I was quite gross at puck. I think everyone that watched me play realized quickly that I may have inflated my talent. Once again, I walked into another coach's room, but this time to greet Mr. Fleming. He told me I worked hard, but I was just way too good of a lacrosse player for him to take the risk of me getting hurt playing hockey. Well played, Flemmer. Well played. Once again, I was bummed, especially when I found out he only made 2 cuts. The next day, I had Monsieur Benga for French. I told him that I got the snip and that I wouldn't get to play the puck light. So he offered me a tryout for the junior boys D2 basketball team. I was determined to pick myself up. This was easy, knowing how important it is to not carry failure around with me. Instead, I was going to use it as a motivator to work hard towards another opportunity. Anyone on that D2 team knows how much fun it was. Right, Jack? We won our first game of the season, beating Ridley College. The first D2 basketball win Appleby had seen in 5 years. We all thought we were going to win the championship, and that was the mindset. However, we ended up finishing 1-6 the rest of the season, losing the following season. I will always remember before our final game, Mr. Scambry was talking about how I was the hardest worker on the court no matter what the score was. He mentioned, I don't want to make his head any bigger than it already is, but Luke isn't the most talented player, but he does work the hardest. After that, I felt amazing. But then Mr. Benga jumped in and said, Luke has 0 talent. Like 0. But yes, he does work hard. Thanks, Mr. Benga. Thank you, failure, for giving me the opportunity to play with some great teammates and for some great coaches that year, and creating memories that will last forever. Remember, failure is not meant to define you. It's meant to refine you. Courage, respect, integrity. That is the motto of the greatest house on campus. That wasn't a joke. 3 inspiring words for the Bulldogs to draw from. Courage, in particular, is something I kept circling back to while writing the speech. When you fail at something, the easiest thing to do would to be take the path of least resistance and give up. Quit, admit personal defeat. But it takes immeasurable courage to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try again. Courage is risking vulnerability by attempting to repeat something you previously failed at. Courage is overcoming the fear of fear itself. Winston Churchill summed it up saying, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. I hope that every single person in this chapel finds courage within themselves to try something new, be it big or small. Don't let the fear of failure prohibit you from trying something you want to do. Make bolder choices. Put yourself out there and have the courage to fail. If things don't go the way you intended it to, you will still end up learning an invaluable lesson. I promise you. I remember when I was in grade 5, there was a poster in my classroom that read, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. I didn't fully understand what that meant at the time, but I sure get it now. Respect. Respect that failure is uniquely valuable. Respect that failure is a stepping stone to self-improvement. Respect that failure is helping you to reach your full potential. Respect that failure is giving you a platform to grow. But most importantly, Respect yourself enough to fail forward. I came across an awesome story when I was preparing the speech. It speaks on the connection between integrity and failure. A CEO of a company announced to his staff that he was planning on to retire in 6 months. He admitted that they were all qualified to take over his position, so he will appoint his successor based on a test. He gave each one of them a seed of a tomato plant and said that whoever gets the best result will succeed him as the CEO. 6 months later, they all came in carrying beautiful tomato plants with big ripe red tomatoes. Only one of them came in empty-handed. The CEO asked him, "Jim, why did you not bring anything?" Jim said that he tried really hard, but could not get anything to grow from that seed. The CEO revealed that he had given them all sterilized seeds. Nothing could grow from those seeds. Therefore, Jim got the truest result. The CEO announced that Jim would be the successor and said, "Always seek truth, not greatness. When you find truth, you will find greatness too. To be a leader, you need to trust and be trusted. Thus, the most important asset of a leader is integrity, because success without integrity is failure." So, it pains me to acknowledge that Collie lost the first Spirit Day. Sure, I wanted to win. As a Red, I am driven by performance. After all, failure breeds success, right? On that note, I apologize today for your future loss, June, Oiku, and Tasha. So, what now? When you walk out of this chapel, what's next? Failure can be defined in many ways. Sometimes you won't make a team. But sometimes, not making that team will lead to a great opportunity. Have courage. If you fail, you must have the courage to push yourself back up. If you fail again, it's going to be harder. But once again, push yourself back up. Respect. Respect that failure is a stepping stone to self-improvement, and respect yourself enough to fail forward. And lastly, integrity. Be true to yourself, because success without integrity is failure. Failure is not bad, and that's what we as society need to accept. One of my favorite Fortnite lines I like to say is, "You win or you get better, but you never lose." And that's the same with failure. There's no losing. There's only getting better because you have been given a chance to learn from it and see what you did wrong and correct it. Now may you please stand and join me in singing hymn 3.